Hi everyone, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be going through the top 5 mistakes that owners make when they're looking to sell their property. So mistake number 1 is choosing the wrong broker or brokers to market the property and sell their home. So many owners, they choose the first realtor that comes along to sell their property, and that isn't the right approach. You should be looking to vet multiple different agents and then handpicking the best ones that will be the best fit to sell your property. The best brokers are knowledgeable and give you informed advice. They should be someone that you trust and someone looking out for your own interest and shouldn't be afraid to tell you exactly how it is, even if it's something that you don't necessarily want to hear. They should be in continuous communication with you and give you constructive feedback, which you should be willing to listen to. In the digital age, it's important that they have a good online presence, and that includes social media, of course, and they should be a skilled negotiator. A common mistake many owners make is going for the realtor that tells them that they can get the highest price. And this is called buying the listing in the industry sometimes. That's because you tell the owner that you can get this higher price, and then over time, when the property is not selling because it's not at the correct price, then the price will be brought down gradually until it becomes sellable. Then the agent has obviously got that listing and can sell the property. But as an owner, it's a waste of time whilst the price is brought down. And also it can put buyers off because they'll have a seed of doubt in their mind once the property has been on the market for so long, and it can deter potential buyers. The next mistake that we see from owners, and it's a major one, is incorrect pricing. A common thing that we see is that owners overvalue their property and price it too high compared to what it's actually worth and sellable in the actual market. By listing above the market price, you're taking that property away from the target audience who might be able to actually afford it at the sellable price. I'll give you an example. Say the property is worth 3 million dirhams, but you decide to list it at 3.5 million dirhams. What happens is that when people search online, as most people do nowadays, when they look at all the comparables at their budget of 3.5 million dirhams, your property might be a really nice property, but it's only worth 3 million dirhams. Whereas when they're looking at other properties which are actually worth 3.5 million dirhams, those ones will look much better than your property. So of course they're going to choose that property over yours. On the flip side, the audience or the buyers who can afford your property at the price that it's actually sellable at, which is 3 million dirhams, they're not even seeing your property when they're searching for it online because it doesn't come in the search criteria that they're looking for according to their budget. So you're actually missing your target audience and eventual buyer by pricing it above the market rate. The common thing I hear from owners is to list it high and then have buyers make a potential offer, which firstly, for the reasons I've just explained, takes you away from the audience of the buyers that you actually want. The second thing is that negotiation tactic might have worked in the past, but nowadays buyers have much more information and are much more savvy because they can check prices for certain properties and communities online. They'll simply go for the cheapest option that is the least hassle, especially when there's no difference between the properties, which is very common here in Dubai in the family communities, for example. What will generally happen with those buyers is that there'll be two things. They'll either go for the cheapest unit or they'll just wait for the price to inevitably go down to the price that it's meant to be at in the market. By pricing above the market and above any of your competitors, and by that I mean other owners, the potential buyers are just going to go to those owners and you'll have to wait for another buyer to come along who will also be looking at the market price in any case. A key thing to look at when pricing your property, and this comes into what I was saying about choosing the right realtor, is to look at the transaction prices of comparable units in your building or area. Transaction prices are much more important than listing prices, as that indicates what people are actually willing to pay for the property. At the end of the day, no matter what price you're asking for it, a property is only worth what a buyer is willing to pay for it. My number one piece of advice here, and it's quite difficult to do so, is to remove yourself completely from the emotional side of selling your property. A buyer doesn't necessarily value the memories that you've made in that property, or if it's an investment, how much you paid for it originally. They're only going to be interested in what it is worth at this point in time. Mindset is really important here, and be ready for judgment about your property. Remember that at the end of the day, it has to be treated as purely an asset that needs to be sold. The next commonly made mistake by owners is to do with viewings of their property. The first thing is make sure that you have maximum availability and flexibility for when viewings can be done of the property. Buyers may also want to do multiple viewings if they're really serious about buying your home. Buyers of property have limited attention spans and also they're busy as well. So when they are available to view a property, they want to be able to go inside. If your property isn't available at the time that's good for them, then they'll simply look at the ones that are available and choose between them. The next thing to do with viewings is please don't be in the property when they're looking around it. It makes them uncomfortable, just like when a shop assistant follows you around when you're browsing in a clothes store, for example. They don't want to associate that home with the people who are living there currently so that they can visualize living in that property themselves. When there is a viewing, make sure that the place is clean, that there's no noticeable smells, whether that be from cooking or from pets, and also play to the senses of the potential buyer, as the impressions that they get when they walk into the property are really important. Try to make the property as decluttered and depersonalized as possible. And by that, I mean cleaning up any knickknacks, tidying up in general to make it easy for the potential buyer to walk around the property, and also removing any personal items, for example family photos. When they're walking around, they should be able to envision it as their own property rather than them invading your personal space. The next mistake owners make is to do with the marketing appeal or not even marketing their property at all. This is why it's important to get a proper realtor and real estate company who know how to market properties. The first thing on this point is make sure that the images and videos of the property are top quality. Don't use a realtor that's only taking pictures of the property on their phone or doing it themselves using their own DSLR camera. You need professional photography, whether you're selling at the low end or the high end of the market. It makes your property stand out from the competition, so people will want to inquire about it and eventually view it in person. The pictures and videos are very important, as over 90% of people now look for properties and their first touch point is looking online. So going back to what I was talking about earlier, an online presence, and especially on social media, is especially important in today's property market. Other more old school forms of marketing still do have some effectiveness, whether that be SMS marketing, email, or even signboards on the front of a property, which are surprisingly still really effective for serious buyers who are wandering around a particular community. As with any product in the world today, buyers want as much information about it and they want it as quickly as possible. The harder it is for them to find that information, the more likely it is that they're going to move on to another property which is giving them all the information and suits their requirements. There are a lot of owners who don't want to do marketing on their property, and it really doesn't make any sense, especially when that marketing spend is being fronted by the brokerage company and the realtor that are marketing the property for you. If you're really serious about selling your home, then you shouldn't be doing minimal marketing on the property or none at all, because you're losing multiple eyes that could be looking at your property online or in other formats that could be potential buyers. And the final mistake that I find owners make when looking to sell their property is not presenting it properly and showcasing it in its best light. The high quality videos and images of the property are what entices a potential buyer to come and view the property in person. And that's your first essential virtual showing of the property to them. When a buyer comes to view the property personally, first impressions really do count. So the first thing you need to look at is what is the curb appeal of your property. By that I mean, how does the property look from the exterior, and does it look like a home that someone would want to live in? For a villa, make sure that the exterior is painted nicely. If there's landscaping, make sure that the grass is well kept and hedges are trimmed. Overall, just make sure that the property looks clean and tidy. As I mentioned once again, those first impressions really do count when someone comes into a property. If they like the property from first instance, they'll be more willing to overlook small issues within the property when they're looking around it. And the same is vice versa. If they don't like it from the first look of the property from the outside, then small issues within the property can suddenly become major and take it off the short list of ones that they potentially want to buy. make the property as bright as possible, and do that by opening curtains, turning on lights, and if you have any dark walls, carpets or tiles, consider painting them white or making the carpets, for example, a lighter color. Remember that the details do matter, so make sure any reasonable repairs are done to the property, and make sure that you get regular cleaning and maintenance, whether that be for keeping the grass short and the hedges trimmed, or making sure that the pool is clean so it doesn't have lots of sand or leaves floating around in it when a buyer comes to visit. Just put yourself in the buyer's shoes and imagine what you'd like to see yourself when you're looking around a property. Buyers always overestimate any repair costs or maintenance costs that they'll need to do on the property when they look around it. So take this out of their hands, because it's likely to affect the offer price that they make if they do like the property. Remember again that you are competing against other homeowners in the area, so make yours stand out by being the best of the bunch. A lot of owners also turn off the utilities in a property, and I can understand this in terms of wanting to reduce costs, but it really does reduce the buyer's experience. Especially here in Dubai and in the summer, if the property has AC and electricity, it's actually a more comfortable environment than standing outside in the heat, and they're willing to take more time and appreciate all the finer details of that property. One point that a lot of owners, when presenting their property, don't necessarily look at seriously is professional staging of the property for photo shoots, and especially for vacant properties. By simply staging the property, it allows a person or a potential buyer to visualize how that property could be used and see it as a potential home. It looks more turnkey, like you could move in tomorrow, and removes that psychological barrier of having to go through the moving process from a potential buyer. The outlay for staging a property tends to easily be returned when reducing the time in selling that property and also getting a higher transaction price. So those are my top 5 mistakes that owners make when looking to sell their property. If there's any more that you can think of, please do let me know. Otherwise, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Hope you like this video. Please hit the like button if you want to see more content, and also don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so I can keep giving you these informational videos on my channel.